Hi everyone, thank you for being here. I appreciate your support and coming to my session. There's so many amazing sessions today that we're all hearing about. Is anyone returning since this is the second business summit? Was anyone here last year? Awesome. Well, you're gonna hear a few things that are similar because it's all about storytelling. It's what I do in my business for marketing. I believe stories rule the world and everybody has a story, so we're gonna talk about that. Feel free to ask questions as we go or save them to the end, and I'm gonna also hit on the questions, if we have time, that are on Whova. So, 5 years ago, actually I think according to the bio, it may be 7. I lose track of time because I freelanced for a little while. But I embraced on a new journey. It was exhilarating, I was scared, it was thrilling, it was exciting. I was not skydiving, but I've done that before. So, but 5 years ago is when I made the conscious decisions to start my own marketing agency. I knew, although I was terrified starting my own, being a solopreneur, it was with my experience and my previous experience in employment and agencies that really helped me know how and why I was gonna do what I was gonna do, to start my own marketing company. Back in 2012, I was working for an oil and gas company. Let me hold these, it may be easier. I was the only marketing employee that we had from the day I started there to the day I left. So I was privileged and very blessed to be able to sit in large conference rooms at these large conference tables at this beautiful building that we built. But I was in the room with not only the VP of operations, VP of sales, I was in the room with the president of the Americas. I worked for a global massive conglomerate company. It was an oil and gas company, but they were a conglomerate, so they owned several different businesses. And so I would listen to them day after day, would listen to the president of the company, and he would tell the story of the company I worked for. And that is how he sold it. He was so good at sales, but I would hear the story day after day, telling about how the company came in through acquisition through Houma, Louisiana. They wanted to go into the onshore business. They hired him. He was like, I'm not working in Houma, I'm working in the Woodlands. This is where I'm from. So we're gonna bring headquarters to the Woodlands. And he built the business into what it was at that present day. And he did such a good job. But I would hear the story over and over and over again, day after day. And it is really what helped me and learning and listening to it. And I used to always joke and say he could sell ice to an Eskimo because he was just so good and engaging in telling the story. So, move forward several years later, this is where I came up with the idea of storytelling marketing. When I was starting my own business, I knew that storytelling was the best way to help other businesses market their business and sell their products. I couldn't find a lot from me working at Swire, but this is me back in the day. I was always behind the scenes, but there was one time where I had to be on camera and we did this little video for HR. And that was a fun time. So why am I telling you all this? Besides, it's what I do. But I got your attention. I told you a story today. This is my personal message story of why I started Avail Marketing. Hopefully you find it to be somewhat motivational, educational, maybe entice you if you're thinking about jumping off the ledge and starting your own business, or just propelling you and your business to the next level. So today, we're going to be talking about a few different topics, the 4 Ps, the 4 Cs, and then my 3 Cs. WIIFM, not sure if you know what that is. Talk a little bit about what I do and who Avail is, types of stories, and then we're gonna focus on real examples. And I forgot to put this in here because I was the one to change my slide after I sent it in to the chamber, but we're gonna hit on social media and quickly go through steps of storytelling with some bonus tips and then Q&A if we have time. So traditional marketing methods, you may have learned this, the 4 Ps of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. And then it's kind of evolved, or you can also learn about the 4 Cs of marketing: convenience to buy the product, the cost, communication, and then the consumer wants and needs. These traditional marketing methods are very important, but I like to focus on the 3 C's: clear, concise, consistent messaging. I think those are very clear, concise, and consistent themselves. It's just simple. Break it down to the lowest common denominator. What makes it simple? What makes your messaging simple? Make sure that there's not too much fluff so you don't lose someone's attention. Be sure that you're consistent in your messaging. Don't just throw something out there once and think it's going to stick. You got to consistently message who you are, what you do, or if it's a campaign that you're working on. You need more than just one message. Developed key messages that really tell that story of what it is, what you're doing. And the traditional methods, as long as these are super important, and I usually kind of focus this on with the sales, so I do it in more a discovery phase when I'm talking to my clients, and that allows us to then kind of focus on the clear, concise, consistent messaging, the 3 C's. And it's very important to know that hope is not going to get you there. You can't hope that someone's going to buy your product. You can't hope they're going to see your story on Instagram, Facebook, all the above, on YouTube, anywhere like that. We all know Facebook especially, but social media has algorithms, right? Sometimes we miss news about our families, that someone just had a baby or is doing this, doing that. So don't hope that they're going to see your message, and that's part of the reason why clear, concise, consistent messaging is going to help you get that. So you don't have to rely on hope. Instead, you really want to dive in. You want to dive in to learn how the customer is, how they want to be communicated with, and then why they should stop and listen to what you're telling them. So, what's in it for me? But not you, your clients, your prospects, your audience. What's in it for them? So why did they stop and listen to you, or stop scrolling social media and stop on what your video is and watch that? So that's what WIIFM is, what's in it for me. So again, why are you seeking their time and attention, potentially costing them money somewhere else? How is this going to help your audience? And then what are you offering? So a lot of businesses focus on what? The products, the services. This is what we sell. I was going back to what would you do? But focus on the why. And if you really focus on the why, that's where you really get to be creative and find those creative stories to sell your products and services. That's what makes it fun. So I have this little quote that market with people, not at them. You want your audience to think about they can't be without you. And I just think this is such a great quote. And I loved Takas this morning introducing us. I think they did such an amazing job, and obviously they're doing great in the market. And but he had such a great, compelling story to tell. And then also, we want to talk with people on the phone, and I thought it was so great that he says that if you call our customer service line, you will be talking to someone down the street. That is where we are, our 180, I think, something employees that we have. So that's great to know, because I can't stand talking to robots on the phone. So at Avail, we love to work with new businesses, smaller businesses, mid-sized businesses, and talk to you about what your opportunities are of engaging your customers and sending them that message. I've always, for a while, actually Britt DeVoe kind of told me this, the solopreneur concept, and now I can't really say that I'm a solopreneur anymore. Avail is growing a little bit. I have McKenna here, who is my intern, and she's doing really great and super helpful. And so a little bit about Avail. And my philosophy is every business, every story, you have a story. Every business, every person has a story. It's how you tell that story that will engage your audience and will drive your business. So I always ask my clients, and I love to throw this out there, what's your story? Think about it. Some people don't think about these things. They're just moving along in their day-to-day business, but they don't really think about what is their story. And it's important. obviously that's what I think it's important, but it will help you with your marketing. It will help you engage people into understanding who you are and why they're gonna pick you over the person down the street. We like to take a holistic approach with our clients. So considering your business as a whole of creative marketing is what we do. And with your current clients, your prospects, and then your sales goals. We don't really just do social media marketing or brand development, website design, copywriting, things like that. This is kind of the approach that I have, and probably because I've been on my own for so long, that's what I become a lot of people's marketing department when they don't have their own. And I love that because I take ownership of it, but it helps our business. So I want to know what's going on in your sales. I do want to know what are your projected goals, where do you want to be, because we will help market there and we'll figure out what works with your budget to get you there. Do you need to do, more email engagement? A lot of people have shied away from doing email blasts and emails, but maybe that's what works for you. So we test those things and focus on what works and where are you pulling your audience from? Are they coming from social media or are they not? Or is it networking? Is it in person? Are you your own business? Are you the face of your business or are you not the face of your business? Because how you market it, that can interpret how you should market your business. So we are, this is an example that I like to talk about, putting this to the test, if you will, talking about real life examples. Black Pearl is a client of mine, and they are here locally in the Woodlands. They are electrical engineering company and technology-driven company. They were exhibiting at a conference, and we ended up doing an entire campaign about coffee. So it wasn't about, the messaging wasn't come visit us, we're at booth 205, such and such, as so many people do. We created a whole campaign around coffee because who doesn't love coffee? As we're all so happy that the coffee will be here all day today, as we made sure in the planning committee. Because you want coffee no matter if it's 7 in the morning or if it's 3 in the afternoon, and coffee brings people and it drives engagement. So we put up these quick tips. We had this one, and then, this type of story was to convey value. So people it was a value-driven kind of campaign of what we created and bringing people in, and you like coffee, I like coffee, come visit us at a booth and we have a chat. Or, oh, let me go meet you. Do you want a cup of coffee? Oh, let's walk over here and let's grab a cup of coffee so I can also show you about our products and services. So these are other kinds of things of what we did. These are some social media posts before, ready to set up at Oilcom. And then this was their email banner. Email banners are prime real estate for driving certain little marketing messages like this. Letting them know, especially your sales staff, people get so busy with their day-to-day work, they forget to say, oh, by the way, are you gonna be at Oilcom? Because we're gonna be there, come visit us. So asking your sales staff, creating something like this and just making sure that it's on everybody's email signature, prime real estate. How many emails do we send a day? So this is another example that we're gonna watch a little video for. Pray sound works. Okay.
In 7th grade, a boy and his friend had come up to me and my friends at lunch, and one of them looked at me and told me that my hair looked like burnt spaghetti. Later, when I got home, it kind of sank in, and that was the first time that I noticed that there was some type of discrimination or othering going on just because of my physical features and my hair specifically and just who I was. Emotionally and physically, I was isolated because I was one of the only kids who looked like me. I do think that there is a different beauty standard set for Black women. I tend to be on the darker side, and I really had to think about, well, my complexion is something, means something to someone. What you look like and how dark or how light your skin is should not be something that deters or brings people towards you. Like, you look how you look, you can't change that. You can, but like, why would you? And I do think all Black women are beautiful. I think I'm gorgeous.
Here. So the Dove Self-Esteem Project is a project that they do every year worldwide, and it's amazing. I used the example last year and I brought it back this year to show you, if you're returning, that how it's changed. They have a different story, different messaging every single year, but primarily right now we all are focused on our young children. Social media gets the best of us and the worst of us, and our children are so being impressioned by social media and the world going on. So this is all of their marketing. These are just snippets that I took from their website. You can read about what it is. But if you go to their menu at the top, all of these, I don't know if this has a little, it does. These pop up. So I just find it fascinating, and it shows you the extensive work that they've done with their marketing and with this project. They're not selling you Dove soap. They are doing more. This is their community outreach, kind of what they do. And they've done it for years. I actually learned about this back when I was in college, which I'm not that young. But back in the day when I was in college, they were doing this, and that's what my teacher told me about, so I followed along with the Dove Self-Esteem Project. But if you look at these resources, they are focusing on parents, but not only parents, mentors, teachers. There's a whole over here related articles, things that you can do, and these teasing and bullying friends and relationships, respecting others and respecting yourself. All of those, they're basically like printouts of parents. We don't really know how to approach the subject with our children. So they have all these resources there for you. I'm just passionate about it. I think it's great. And their social media, you can see so many stories like Morgan's, quick little snippets. They have things where the mother and daughter or parent and their child are sitting there watching social media together, and they're seeing these things. And she asked her, oh my gosh, are you seeing that on social media? All the time, is what the child says. She's like, I never thought those are the kinds of things that you're seeing. And as parents, we sometimes don't know. So anyway, if you want to learn more, you can go to Dove's website. But I just think that's such a great example. But see how impactful the message is. And so this is an educational story, but probably it hits on every single one of these types of stories that you can do. These are ideas for you to try to drum up different kinds of stories. And they highly focus on education, but they're motivating people, they're taking action. It's a personal message of what people are doing. These young girls are being very vulnerable, going on camera and sharing their story of who they are. But it shows the value that they want to be liked and accepted and loved. So it really hits every kind of one of these stories. But for this purpose, I put education because it's what they're giving to us. The biggest thing what they're giving to us is the education behind it, and they have the resources and tools of what you can do if you need them. And I think it's great. So I did want to talk about social media a little bit to kind of talk holistically about marketing, because that's what I do. So Facebook. Think about why you use all the different social media you use. Facebook, a lot of things about family, groups, neighborhood groups that are on Facebook, events, Twitter. It's all about conversation, banter, politics. We probably all know is highly driven on Twitter, or was, maybe coming back. But also Twitter is where the hashtag created. For those of you who don't know the purpose and interest of a hashtag, it is how you go and find people talking about the same thing. So if you have an event, Like today, McKenna asked if the chamber had a hashtag for the event, and I said, I don't know, but they should for the Chamber Business Summit. Hashtag Chamber Business Summit. So then Chaz on the marketing team can go and search all the different social media sites for hashtag Chamber Business Summit, and she will find all of your posts and my post. So she can look at those and as a way to remarket in the future. Go and share those posts. Thank you so much for being there. Anyway, YouTube. YouTube's all about videos. It's also become very educational. People are searching YouTube. I myself watch people on YouTube for different things, mainly how to tame this curl. And, but YouTube is also searchable, which is important. It's the number 2 search engine besides Google. So does that make you think maybe you should get on YouTube and post a few videos people can search about? Yes, is the right answer. LinkedIn, very business to business. I hope everyone here is on LinkedIn. B2B, it's about education, a lot of HR things going on there, people looking for employees, people searching for employment. Instagram, it's very visual. Anyway, Instagram is very visual. It's all about followers getting more exposure. TikTok is really based on people's interest. It's not necessarily about who you follow, which is what's interesting about TikTok. You go on your feed and you're like, I don't know these people, but it's about interest. And I find that interesting. I don't do TikTok very often, I will say that. One client within the past maybe 2 months that we started doing TikTok per her request. But one thing that I've learned, I do follow someone on YouTube named Gary V, and he's amazing, and he talked recently about people's obsession. He keeps talking about people, if you're not in business, you need to be on TikTok. And I don't quite agree with that, but he has a good point here. He says, people's obsession with TikTok has caused other platforms to change their algorithms because it's about the interest. So LinkedIn, more than any other platform, has changed its algorithm to be about what people want to see. So think about that, and not only can you post yourself and share messages, share stories that you see, articles on LinkedIn, but make sure you're posting yourself organically as well, because it's about interest. So your post will more likely be shown to others on LinkedIn. Snapchat is Gen Z's way of communication, is what I like to say. We were having a conversation. McKenna is right out of college, and just last week we were talking about this, and we were talking about Snapchat, and it's fascinating to me of how it's literally their way of communication. So maybe if your audience is younger, maybe Snapchat would be a really good idea for you to use, and how can you use it? Be Real is brand new. If you haven't heard about it, it's fun. It is all about in the now. So people developed it to literally kind of get away from some of the other social medias. And you post once a day, and you have your camera, it takes a picture on the front of it and the back of it, and it's just showing what you're doing. So I do Be Real with my daughter who's in college, and so we like to connect and send pictures back and forth every day, and most of hers are in front of a book or in front of her laptop. But it's fun, and it's just a fun way of connecting. So I have a client who has I'll call it a physical therapy kind of school, and I said, maybe you should think about getting on Be Real, because you will be in crowds, and if people are on Be Real, it posts just at that time. You get a notification, you have 3 minutes to post your picture, and then it goes away until 24 hours later. So I've heard stories of kids in high school, in the hallway or in class, they'll be walking and everyone jumps on their phone and they're snapping pictures. So for my client, how great would it be if he starts getting his students to snap pictures while they're at his school, taking their martial arts? How fun would that be? Or they're in the locker room, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. That gives him more exposure. So those are kind of just my tips. And I guess we went pretty quickly today because, oh, I'm sorry. Nope, I'm off track. So anyway, so steps to storytelling. We'll go through this. They're very quick. Define your core message. Decide what kind of story you're going to tell, and then make sure you have your call to actions on there. Make sure you're telling someone what you want them to do at the end of the day. It's not just, yay, go see this. Dove is, go watch more videos, get engaged, go on our website, get these resources. And with Black Pearl, there's come to our booth was definitely the end of the day, but come grab your cup of coffee in our booth, right? So, but remember your CTA doesn't have to be very big. It can be something as simple as signing up for your newsletter, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any of those. Get a free estimate. You can start using more catchy things get a free estimate. So push this button and we will contact you to give you a free estimate for our services. That starts the conversation. Ultimately, what you really want to start to focus on is driving people to engage with you personally. So a lot of times people will start to engage with you once they've checked out your website. And so a lot of times your CTAs will be driving people to your website to get the resources, to call and ask, call now, and it goes to our website on your contact page. And they can fill out a form and email you, or they can pick up the phone and call you, anything like that. But make sure that you're putting those CTAs in there so you're driving that message and getting them to engage with you. I had this in here last year, but I wanted to kind of close out with this. Storytelling is not intended to be a selling tool. I agree with this, that it's a method of building your relationships with your customers and driving your community of loyalists over time. It identifies what your passions are and serves as the foundation for all your future content developments. It doesn't have to necessarily be your personal message story like what I told you today about me and starting Avail, but you can create fun campaigns, and you want to create those loyalists, people in your community and that want to engage with you and they come back. If we're involved with nonprofits, you want to engage with them. You want to see what those nonprofits are doing. So you want them to share what they're doing on social media so you can follow them and get involved. Go to their events, do this, go to their fundraisers. And then I have some quick little tips. I think every single one of my clients, whatever you do, do it well. That was a long list of social media platforms that there are out there now. Don't feel like you have to do every one. Think about where your audience is, like the Be Real example. Is that the right platform for you? Test it. If it's not, you can move on. You can change and pivot. But think about your customer journey. Where are they? What are they doing? And where are they in the sales pipeline as well? And people always want to be entertained. It's pretty much why we're on social media, is we want to engage with people, connect with family and loved ones, but we want to be entertained, right? So entertain them. Make sure your stories are fun and entertaining. And your characters should be relatable, so your stories should be relevant. So make sure that your stories is it something that someone wants to hear? And if you think it's not, then maybe don't share that story. You don't have to share every story, but you want it to be relatable. Is it something that they want to hear? Make sure your story has a CTA. Complementing colors are really great colors to use for CTA buttons because it stands out. My color mainly is purple. I could use yellow or red and green if you want to do that. It's very holiday-esque. But so on and so forth. And blue is opposite of orange on the color wheel. And context drives success. So think about that. Context drives success. Read and respond to your reviews. You want to know what people are saying about you on Yelp, on Google, on your social media platforms, whatever it is. And not only just read it, make sure you like it or give it a little heart and say thank you for taking the time to do this. It's basically like sending a thank you note, but you're engaging with them. And that's also another way of engaging with someone is just, and they'll see it, they'll get a notification, this person responded to your review. But it also will help you know if something's working or not working in your business. They complain about this is going on, then make sure that you can pivot, and that's really important information to know. And it's also public information to know. So you want to make sure you're knowing you're aware of what is out there. And you're the expert. Think about what you say during sales calls, and that can really be very good in your marketing messaging. You're the expert at what you do. Make sure that people are knowing and seeing what you're doing out there. So that is it that I have, unless anybody has any questions. We had lots of good engagement on Whova that I thought that I could tap into if we wanted to kind of talk about that, or if anyone has any questions, I'll answer questions from y'all first. Yes?
A couple years ago, someone told us we should have 2 Twitter accounts. Do you recommend that? It seems kind of redundant.
Personal, no. For business? No, I've never heard of that, and I wouldn't really recommend it. You want to make sure that they're seeing the information from one, because you're kind of confusing your audience. Am I following this or am I following that? And I actually have a few clients who have multiple brick and mortars, and I like to bring it all in and do it on one social media account, because it gives you more content to also talk about. I can talk about what's going on in this store, and I can talk about what's going on in this store. So if that helps as well. Yes. Hi. I didn't see you come in.
I was just wondering, as you develop your story and you're putting your story out there, but actually, and you're creating, I guess, how you want people to understand you, remember you with your product. Is a good way of doing that possibly doing more of quotes, doing things, thoughts about how you perceive your company or how you look at your company, or maybe your own personal thoughts about your company as far as how you see sales, how you see your business, what your culture may look like, or just thoughts. I mean, so people can put together who you are and what your company stands for. Do you think people do that? Do you think people connect those quotes?
I think they do if you're doing it consistently enough. I'll say that. Yes, because if you are, especially if you're the face of your business and you've got a selfie cam and you do a little video, snippet of information that day, but you're doing it day after day after day, and on some sort of consistent basis, they're going to see that and know that you're out there. Is that kind of answering the question?
Yeah, and I guess I would think more of in a context of not necessarily a face, but literally.
Even graphically, like the quotes and stuff that I have on there, yes, definitely. I mean, client reviews are amazing to do like that. I do for probably all of my clients. It's great social media content. But also you can do your own little snippets. I could do whatever you do it well, because I say that all the time.
Right.
For instance, yeah, sure.
People so that they understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
What you're doing, what your culture is.
And you can pick a topic and then delve on that, and if it's you focus on it for the month or you focus on it for a week, and every single day you do something back related to that XYZ subject matter, then it's more, right? Yeah. Anything else? Okay. We did have some from Whova. I'll talk about, people ask what makes a good storyteller. And I would go back to just being, and there were a lot of the answers were similar in this, just being relevant and relatable, I think are the biggest things that people are seeking. I actually asked what other marketing topics want to be covered, and someone else asked, what's the best way to tell your story on social media? Is it all at once or drip it out? And I love to create campaigns, so that would be a drip out kind of way. You may do a 2-minute video and talking about the full story, but then similar to Dove, they have all these resources, they have social media posts, they have the quotes, they have the engagement over here. So all of that together goes into that campaign of these are all your messaging for that one thing, for Doves. And if you look at Dove, I'm sure as a holistic perspective in their business, they don't just talk about the self-esteem product. Obviously, they have to sell products at the end of the day. So they'll have campaigns for each of those. and what that is and different messaging for each of those.
Amanda, I have a question
Yeah.
for you. One of the things that you talked about is kind of that whole TikTok, and how that's becoming the trend. So when somebody is pushing out a campaign or messaging, does that kind of come into play in the amount of time? Because I feel like everybody's attention span has gone from this to like this.
It's like a
So
split
you
second.
mentioned 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Does that captivate somebody, or are they on to the next thing? Like, what is that sweet spot?
I don't really think that there is a sweet spot. I say do it all, and I always like to get the most bang for my buck. So if I'm hiring a videographer, I'm gonna say, okay, we're gonna do the whole video, but then please take snippets from here, and we will pull that and have that as more content. Gary Vee talks about that constantly as well. And I believe in the same thing, because all it is more content for you. McKenna's taking pictures. McKenna is maybe doing some video clips of me today. I will repurpose that later on, and you will see it on social media. So talking about this today and just driving the message. Another one was, I think we still have a little bit of time, is a business story one size fits all, or should we stick to the facts if there's a really big emotional story attached? I think it depends on your business and what kind of business you are. If you have a personal brand and you are your business, if you're an influencer of such, then your emotional stories can generate business. But I definitely think make sure you always edit and don't overshare. And even if it is a personal story, you can get there, but not all the time. People want it to be fun and energetic. They don't want it to be a sob story every time they see something from your business on social media. So, and think about ways of you can change that story from maybe something that is very emotional, but then where are you today? 5, 10 years, 2 years later, anything like that. All right, well, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you all being here.